All right, instrument room, there are 4 IR units, 4 stations, okay, of the Brooker Alpha IR units. Okay? So our home screen, we're going to select Opus 65, click onto it, double click, okay, and it will ask you for a password. We're going to enter user and log in. Accept the pop-up window. If a diagnosis needs to be performed, it will show once it's done. This pop-up window will come up, and at the very bottom corner, you can click close the diagnosis window. Put your cursor over closed, and then we can continue. Then we're going to go to the icon with the wrench and select it. Ensure that we replace ATR method with the basic method. Hit load, and there's the basic method. Select it. Open, so now the basic method has been loaded. Under sample descriptions, you can put your name, and then save and exit. Your icon or your cursor over the icon with the arrow, and we're going to enter here your name and what the sample is. Salicylic acid. And after that, we're going to start the background. Before you do this, make sure that the hammer is up, and we're just going to take 8 scans of air for the background. So now we'll hit start background by clicking onto it. And the progress line at the bottom will go green, showing you how many scans are being performed. They should do 8 scans, and there's a progress indicator window at the far right here. When it's at 100%, it is done. And at this point, we can then start to load our sample, and then we'll hit the start sample. And here, what we want is a small amount of your sample, just a few crystals to cover the window of the IR. So I'm going to take a few crystals of the salicylic acid. Place it right over the window to cover the window. Then we'll put the hammer down, and there'll be a little bit of resistance on the hammer as you pull down, and it will click into position. It'll now liquefy the sample into a clear window. After the sample is loaded, we can go back to our pop-up window and position your cursor over the start sample measurement and click it. Once again, it will run 8 scans. At the bottom will be your progress bar, and at the far right is your progress window indicating percentage of completion. And it's at 100. Then you'll get this red scan. What we want to do is replace the scan, the spectrum color, by positioning your cursor over to the far left window here under TR, which means trace. Just click on it and you'll get a different color. So there's purple. We want a dark color. Don't want to print these light colors, it will not show up very well. Look for a black or a blue. So there's blue, brown. Ideally we want to find a black color. There we go. Nice black spectrum. And at this point we're going to select the peaks. Do not use the auto peak pick here. Okay, instead, right mouse click away from the spectrum. Okay. So somewhere in here, right mouse click, you'll get a pop-up window, and position the cursor over single peak pick. At which point you're going to direct your cursor over identified strong signals. Okay, so there is one. You're going to mark the wave number. So there's wave number 3031, and we might mark another one here. it here. And then we'll pick some strong signals. And that's about all we want, because anything then below 1200 wave numbers is the fingerprint region, and we don't want to pick a lot of peaks in there. Okay, it gets pretty messy. So what you see here is the OH of the carboxylic acid. Okay, and there's the phenolic OH group, and it's shifted quite a bit down because it's a conjugated system. At this point, what we want to do, yes, we're going to select print. Position your cursor over the print and click it, which will send it to the printer. And there's your completed spectrum. After you have your spectrum, then we're going to lift the hammer and clean up the sample with a small amount of isopropanol. A couple of drops of isopropanol, and chem wipe will clean the window. Also clean the top of the hammer. And leave it ready for the next person. The very last thing we want to do is close the IRWin program by clicking on the X to the right, and then discard changes, and leave this ready for the next person, who will start by clicking on Opus.